If you clicked on this video, you probably want to learn how your code can write itself. It's not AI, it's a source generator. Source generator is basically a tool that you can use, or code that you can write, that analyzes your code whilst compiling and generates some new source code based on whatever you implemented. So I have a plain Avalonia project here, so I can start it, and you can see there's nothing much going on. We just have here, welcome to Avalonia. That's it. You can use a source generator for anything. I just show it on the example for Avalonia because it's quite special with some workarounds I figured out. And I looked online already, or tried, or when I was trying to learn source generators, I always had the problem that for Avalonia I need a XML file. With the Roslyn Source Generator, you can only generate .cs files. Avalonia is basically, or with Avalonia, you just can make some UI for your .NET project, which is quite nice. But the thing is, if I have the class user, for example, and I want to make an UI for it, where you can see the ID, you want to change the name maybe, or you can see the name and you want to make it changeable, and then maybe an icon for is online, it's not online, something like this. That's very repetitive. Like, you have a lot of classes, you want to just make them to UI so you can see it, a lot of objects. And if you do it by hand, you always have to write 3 different scripts, which is a lot of, yeah, not complicated but very repetitive code to write. And with a source generator, you can just make the compiler do it for you. So basically, what I want to be able to do in this tutorial, or what you learn to do, is you take a class and generate code for it with attributes. In this example, we're going to use Avalonia. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to generate UI. You can generate some random objects for whatever. Basically, the goal is that you can give the class the generate UI attribute, and once that's done, the source generator generates everything for you. And then after, want to be able to set some attributes for the separate fields. It's, for example, mutatable. So the source generator knows, okay, this is not just text, it also needs an input field, for example. Something like this. And yeah, so at first, you just need your project where you want to generate the code for, and an attribute. If you don't know how to make an attribute, looks something like this. This is the class behind the attribute, and this is how you use the attribute. So how you start off with a source generator, you create another plain C# project or .NET project. Like for me, I'm using Visual Studio. I'm gonna delete this real quick, like this. Alright, so, okay. Here, this is my main project, client.psl. In the, we first have to set this one up. So, you go into the .cs project, and in here, you need to add these 2 lines. So you need emit compiler generated files true and compiled generated files output path. You're not required to do it like this, but I really recommend it, especially during development phase for the source generator. We're gonna look into that later, why it is, but I really recommend it. So basically what you can do here is you set the output path, and you can set whichever directory you want. It's just from your project, like in the project folder, relative to it. So this will create the folder generated, and in there will be the whole generated stuff. Then if your source generator already, or if you already have a source generator in your project, like Avalonia already has some stuff, as you can see here, this will generate code, like when I run it now. Now this generated me here the generated folder, and I have these two folders in it. So basically, just set it up like this, run it once, and then you should see over here in the generated folder, whatever is in there, you don't want this. So for me, this here got generated, and now the problem is it exists twice in the project. So if I would remove this, I would run into some errors because it's already set up from Avalonia. It's generated in another folder, and I force it now to also get generated into the generate folder, which means it's twice in this project. So the easiest workaround for this is just you set these folders on remove from the compiler, take all subfolders and all .cs files or whatever you need to remove, just remove this. And yeah, you can later on when your source generator runs, you can remove this. I even recommend you to remove it. Because yeah, you're just gonna get the code twice and you don't need it. It's just for debugging and makes a lot of it much easier. So then you want to create a new project in the solution, and like for Visual Studio, I don't know how it works with other IDEs, but you probably can figure it out. Yeah, you just create in your solution another project. I've called it source generator, and then you need to project reference include a relative path from this project to the other CS project, and then set reference output assembly false and output item type analyzer. And that's gonna be the whole magic what you have to do in your main project. In the source generator, the .cs project should look something like this. You want this package, you can also install it with NuGet. Here, let me check installed, it's this here, this one. Just install the this package, Microsoft.codeanalysis.c#.workspace. You need this for the Roslyn generator. And then also our target framework will be .NET Standard 2.0 for the source generator, and force extended analyzer rules true, lang version latest, nullable, enable. Very important is Roslyn component true. That's the whole CS project of the source generator, and then you also want a source generator.cs file for your source generator. Once you've done this, you can in Visual Studio right click on the solution and you go to project build order. Now probably the source generator won't be at first for you because you first have to go to your main project, so dependencies, select your main project and set the dependency on the source generator. So Visual Studio or your IDE will know the source generator has to be built first before the other projects. Because like whilst compile time, the source generator will analyze your whole code, generate the files, and after that's done, your code and the generated code will be compiled into the final code. Okay, so that's all to set it up. Now we just need to write the code. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new namespace. I call it source generator, and in here I'm gonna give or create the the attribute, or set the attribute generator for our public class source generator from incremental generator. So this is gonna give us an error because an incremental generator needs a public void am I stupid? Initialize, like this. And it takes the incremental generator initialization context, like this. Okay. So, okay. Now this is the code that will run during the initialization, or like just the start code of our source generator. And what we want to do first is we want to get all the classes, like when we analyze our code, we want to find all classes that have some attributes. We're gonna collect them. So for this, we're gonna make an incremental value provider with a system that collections dot immutable array, and the array is of type symbol, important here, question mark, and we call it classes. So now very important for me, I mean, you can try it else, you can include systems.collection.immutable, so you just have to write immutable array. I've run at some point in my code an error. I don't know why, but this fixed it for me to just write it out, so yeah. So, and this will be equal to context dot, context dot syntax provider dot, we create a syntax provider, has attributes. We're gonna define this in a minute, and also check attribute, also define this in a minute. So, and then here where class is not null dot collect, and gonna do an array out of this. Okay. Now we have to do our has attributes. This will be an bool or boolean. So we make private bool has attributes, and we need the syntax node. It was, yes, exactly, normal node, and the cancellation token like this. And what we're gonna do in here is we check like every class that will get analyzed, we're gonna check, does it have an attribute? If yes, we're gonna take it. So if node is class declaration syntax node syntax, then return node syntax dot attribute lists dot count higher than 0, and else return false. So this boolean will, or this function will only return true if it has more than 0 attributes. That's all this does. And then we'll also define our type symbol. Check attribute, what's it called, and we'll give it the generator syntax context and cancellation token. Okay, now in here we're basically gonna check the attribute. Oh, I've mistyped. Check. What's wrong? Check attribute. Ah, we don't return anything yet. Okay, so yeah, as I said, we're gonna check the attributes of each attributes of the class, and gonna check if there is an attribute of, or the specific attribute we want, and then we do some magic with it. So basically we have to figure out what kind of attribute we have. So we take the node of the current context and check if it is class declaration syntax class declaration. Oops. And oh fuck, where am I? Like this. Okay. So, and we're gonna take the class declaration dot attribute lists, so we get the whole list of all attributes, and where a dot attributes dot any b dot name. So we get the name of the attribute, normalize with space to full string. Oops. Okay, to full string dot at the wrong position. I think so. Oh yeah, here. Okay, dot contains. Here is at the string generate UI. Here you can say whatever you want. It just has to match up with this here, or with the attribute you want. So then we check on this, close this, and then dot count bigger than 0. So is there no, stop it, bigger than 0, like this. Okay, so we basically just check in here if there are more than 0, or is there any attribute with this specific name. And why? Oh no. Why are we here? It's wrong, right? Like this. No, this looks wrong. Okay, yeah. Anyways, let's leave it like this. Okay. So, and in here we just return context dot semantic model dot get declared symbol dot not dot class declaration. We'll give this to him, and we'll take this as an iType symbol. And if not, return null. I think I see. Yes, this was the problem. Okay, so now that's the whole magic to get our immutable array of all the clauses. So what next? Next we need to get some actual code. So we make context.register source output clauses and generate source. So we're gonna create generate source. This basically just registers, as it says, the output. Okay, next we make the public void generate source and source production context and system.collections.immutable array of type iType symbol, don't forget the question mark, array, like this. Okay, so now this code will run for each clause we have in the array. So next we're gonna set up a way to debug, because the problem is the code doesn't really run. It's just during compile time it runs, but you can't really debug this, so that's always a big pain. The most convenient way I've found for this is to generate a log file. The only problem we have now is we can only generate .cs files with a Roslyn generator. So we need a workaround, and I actually figured a way out, but it's a bit janky and I don't really recommend it, except you really need it. So for me, I need it because I need to generate that XML files like this for Avalonia, and for the log file I also do a txt, or would like a txt. So I'm gonna use it for this, but you can also, and like just for now I'm also gonna do this, you can also just log it into a CS file. So make a string builder. We're gonna work a lot with string builder. We're gonna call this logger new, and then logger.append line, and now we have to watch for syntax. Hello from source generator. Okay, and then context dot add source. Here we'll set the path. We just take the default path, so we don't put anything in front, and call it 00 log, so it will also be at first position, always be at first position. And now, very important, I'm gonna write .ygen. You can write anything, whatever you want here, but I use it as an identifier for the generated file. So that's just for you to know it is a generated file. So I think it doesn't really matter if you write .cs or if you leave it, because it will automatically add it if if it's not there, because yeah, you can really only generate .cs files. Okay, and we're gonna give it logger.toString. Okay, now when I run this, the source generator should first compile, then go through this code here, find the class with the generate UI attribute. This triggers the generate source function, which should create in the generated folder, and then view subfolders should create over there the 00log.ygen.cs file with this as content. So let's try this. Okay, the generated folder already popped up. Close this again. Look in here, source generator, source generator. Yeah, you can name it else if you want. I think it's namespace and project name, so both source generator for me. You can name it whatever you want. And here we go. Hello from source generator. Yeah, that's the whole magic. Congratulations, you now have a running source generator for your project. In the next episode, we're gonna actually create or generate some code. So this is gonna be really interesting. Yeah, but that's it for now. We have a running source generator, and yeah, till next time.